Hello, hello. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rawl. You're tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI Show for short, because we bring you way too much information. We're live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, the thumbs up, the share, all that stuff to help our little channel continue to grow. Ted, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little miserable this morning. I can't tell if it's because it's the weather changing. It's the start of the school year, and obviously I have a little one, so he brings all kinds of great germs home. Or it could be that I scarfed down a donut for breakfast, and I never do that. So I
Do you
can't.
think you're having a sugar catastrophe?
I don't know. Is that a thing?
I don't know. I mean, if you eat something gross, it's weird. When I was young, I feel like I could eat anything, and it just
Yeah.
didn't fucking matter.
Yes.
And, as you get older, you're like, one bad move, like one extra slice of pizza, whatever.
Oh, you sleep wrong, and your neck and your whole back can be thrown out.
You're fucked.
After 4, it's like anything can ruin your whole day.
True.
So
it takes nothing.
I can't tell if I feel miserable because the kiddo brought home some germs from first grade, or the donut isn't sitting well because I don't normally eat.
Don't forget, there's always the perfect storm. It could be all of the above.
Oh,
they're all getting together and working together.
Yeah, that can kill you when you're over 40.
Yeah, just you wait. It only gets easier and more fun, Manila. Like the other day I think like 4 days ago, I went to get a haircut. And then I'm like, I feel good about myself because look at my hair. 62 years old. I look pretty good for a 62-year-old.
All this hair?
Yeah, and then they show me, they show you the back. And you're like, wait, what the fuck is that? The big bald spot in the back, like back here. Yeah. And I'm like, it's like not all.
Are you losing some?
Oh, yeah. It's like,
Oh, it's a little spot, Ted.
Well, I'm
tiny.
But I was like, holy shit. I was always proud of my robust head of hair. And it's like,
that's small. That's not. I thought you were gonna say like there's like this.
No,
like,
it's not. No,
yarmulke size, like.
Yeah, I have to convert to Judaism.
Just for that.
Yeah, just for that.
Yeah,
that
but
doesn't
you're
mean I'll
over
support
60
Israel.
And you
I'll be one of those
I'll
be an anti-Zionist Jew.
Yeah, but then you can throw all the stones that you want. Imagine that.
Oh, that's true. I can throw all the stones I want anyway.
Wait, what do you mean? You can, but no, because there's extra chutzpah behind it if it's coming from somebody that's Jewish.
Oh, so if you're saying if I go and like do solidarity and do jihad, or in this case Jewhad.
So like when Max Blumenthal or Dave Smith, who are both Jews and they're anti-Zionist and they speak out against it, there's more behind it. There's more like oomph behind it.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Because they're Jewish.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So I feel like this would be a Larry David.
By the way, I think I just
your enthusiasm episode.
Did anyone else ever come up with Jewhad? I don't know. I just made it up. I want to know if did I just coin something, and if so, will it take off, or has it already? Is it one of those things where it's like, oh, dude, like Woody Allen invented Jewhad. What are you talking about? I mean,
well, I feel like this is a perfect Larry David episode of like where somebody would convert to something else just to shit on it. So
right. Right. Yeah.
This is that instance. And you would be able to cover the little spot that you're getting.
I love in Larry David when what is it, Funkhauser, who his friend who converts to Judaism and becomes insufferable, and basically constantly telling other Jews what to do, because that is how it is, right? It's sort of like, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. I've never even had an unlit cigarette in my mouth. The most I can ever say is I have briefly held an unlit cigarette. That's it. And I hated smoking. I'm really glad that it's not a thing anymore. It should be banned. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's a product that when used as directed kills you. So that's a bad product. Now, the thing is, That said, no one hates smoking more than me, but there's no, you know who's really insufferable is former smokers. They're fucking insane. They're totally like, that smells so bad. You people are disgusting. And you're like,
I'm a former smoker.
You smoked for 20 years. What are you talking about? Well, you know, what the fuck?
I'm a former smoker. I don't say anything to current smokers. I don't go around bitching at everyone.
Over on the YouTube feed, Anamander Rake says the term jihadi does exist.
Really?
I guess it's one of those things like, it's so easy that, you know, like you think of it and you're like, it occurred to me that someone must have thought of it. Yeah. Thanks there.
I tried to propagate Asplosion circa 2008 when I moved to
I remember that. You told me that.
And it, because I was really annoyed that Beyonce got Bootylicious out there, right? And she got it into the dictionary.
Is an Asplosion a form of explosive diarrhea, or what is it?
Yes, I mean, it's self-explanatory, right? And because I used to say this like circa 2006. Yeah. And I kept saying it, and people were like, "Oh," and back then people don't remember.
So you were trying to make Asplosion a thing.
Yeah. So 20 years ago, social media and the internet wasn't like this, right? Like you couldn't propagate it as easily, right? So I was trying to manually, in person, like tell everybody, like, "Oh yeah, don't eat there. You're gonna get an Asplosion."
Now, see, Manila, may I go back in time and give you some retro advice? So the whole thing is when you're trying to introduce a new term, you don't want to do that sort of pregnant pause before like an Asplosion, because then you're kind of like cueing the person that like, attention, I'm about to drop some knowledge upon you. What you really want to do is just sort of casually just use it in flow of the conversation, as if everybody fucking knows. So it's like, oh my God, I went to fucking Taco Bell last night, 3 Asplosions, and they're like 4 Asplosions this morning. People are like, wait, what? And they make you, what's an Asplosion? Yeah, an Asplosion. And you make them feel stupid not to know what it means. And then they'll pick up on it, and then they'll start using it as if they had always heard it.
So I wonder if people say Asplosion now.
My point is, you now have, I don't know, we could find that out. I tried to introduce...
it's 20 years later.
In a cartoon, back when cartoons were widely read, and my cartoons were among the widely read, I did a cartoon about, when women in particular, mostly women, they have sweats with like writing on the back, like pink.
Oh, like juicy on the butt?
Yeah, on the butt. So I was like, I did a whole cartoon about advertising. And,
it is advertising.
It's advertising. And it's like...
It is true.
And I'm pretty sure nothing ever happened with that. But it's unfair because, people should talk about
billboards.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny about advertising is we all see it, and we don't say anything about it.
Men will certainly look. Men will certainly look if you have a great ass.
Well, look, if you have a bad ass, you'll look even more. I mean, the thing is, it's like, because that's more real estate. I mean, if you have a giant ass, first of all, a giant ass isn't always a bad ass, first of all. A giant ass,
like a Kim Kardashian giant ass?
I like big butts and I cannot lie. It's true. So I like small butts too. All butts on girls be good. But the point is that like a big ass with like, if you weren't going to notice it before, if it's got like eat at Tom's Diner, $14 lumberjack special tonight on the side, you're gonna, there's no way you can look away. It's not possible. By the way, this for Gen Zers who are losing their jobs, we didn't do this story, but like the new face of underemployment, right? Is like that article I posted from the Times a couple of days ago. Like we could have done, that would be a new form of
side hustle.
Yeah, good ass hustle. Like get off the Ozempic, get that butt up there, and then like in suburban diners where they have the placemats with all the business card ads on the paper placemats. Yeah. Like there's the auto shop, the car insurance place, the lawn.
Well, I mean, they pay people, especially in New York City, right? You see those car billboards, driving by with the billboard, like.
Yes.
So you have a giant ass.
At the beach, you have the plane with the ad, like drink Coca-Cola or whatever. So you could do that. You could have like individual assets, like, hey, I'll advertise your house cleaning service, for 7 days
on my
ass. But of course there'd be different real estate, like under ass, like near the anus, is like,
but Ted,
could be more expensive or lower, or it could be more.
They do it on the race car drivers, the car itself, and the race car driver.
Of course. Uniform. Yeah, like the STP ads and all that.
That's a shit ton of money for those guys, for obvious reasons, because they're on TV.
Right.
But
as the Bard said, concept. All the world's a stage, Manila. So
same concept.
So if you're walking around on the metro, the DC Metro, or on the M104 bus in Manhattan, and you have like a maybe like right around the rectum, you have like a Bob's Red Hots. All right, let's read the news. Let's have some. It
worked for Hooter Girls. It worked for Hooter Girls. Obviously, it worked. I forgot, one of the Hooter Girls married somebody major. I forgot who. I don't remember. But anyway, it worked for Hooters. All right, let's head to the news.
All right, President Trump is back at it, bombing boats just for fun. He announced that the U.S. military bombed a second boat that he claimed, without evidence, again, was smuggling drugs from Venezuela, less than a day after he refused to rule out bombing Venezuela itself or trying to overthrow President Nicolas Maduro. The strike yesterday morning killed 3 men, according to Trump. He called them narcoterrorists. There was a Truth Social post that had fuzzy video of the strike. Trump said the strike occurred while the vessel was in international waters and no U.S. forces were harmed in the operation. Yeah, that's because they used a drone. Okay, so and not to mention, you killed innocent civilians. According to a Democrat who attended the official classified congressional briefing about the last week's killing of 11 apparent Venezuelans, there was no evidence whatsoever that the ship was even from Venezuela, much less that it was carrying drugs, much less that they were members of Tren de Aragua, much less that they were coming to the United States. They could be pleasure boaters, as far as we know. We have no idea whatsoever. But nevertheless, Trump said these extremely violent drug trafficking cartels pose a threat to U.S. national security, foreign policy, and vital U.S. interests. Trump wrote, "Be warned, if you are transporting drugs that can kill Americans, we are hunting you." The strike comes as Trump flooded U.S. military ships and troops to the Caribbean in the name of combating drug trafficking, and after the U.S., of course, killed that other ship, killing 11 people, again, with zero evidence whatsoever that these people were up to anything wrong. Over the weekend, the foreign minister of Venezuela said 18 U.S. soldiers deployed from, I should say sailors, deployed from a U.S. Navy destroyer boarded a tuna fishing boat in Venezuelan waters and held the fishermen captive for 8 hours before letting them go. There was no immediate reaction to the latest strike from the Venezuelans. Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, Trump said he had been shown footage of the latest airstrike by General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Asked what proof there was, he said, "We have proof. All you have to do is look at the cargo that was splattered all over the ocean. Big bags of cocaine and fentanyl all over the place." So you can identify that in the ocean after it's all been blown up on the high seas by a Hellfire missile. So anyway,
it's Ted, they were obviously listening to TMI when the first boat got blown up. Remember I said, can they make it at least like Miami Vice, so you see like poof, like a big plume of white?
The powder.
Remember I said that?
Yeah, you did say
that. And now Trump is saying it.
Ridiculous. Well, we know Trump listens to the show. Trump has repeatedly made the claim, contradicted by a declassified U.S. intel assessment, that Tren de Aragua is under Maduro's control. Never mind that that's, what's the word for it? A lie. The U.S. government claimed that the 11 people killed earlier in the month were members of Tren de Aragua, which Trump says is a foreign terrorist organization, but provided no evidence whatsoever. Maduro, in a press conference earlier on Monday, got very, very angry about all this and made fun of Trump. What were they looking for? Tuna? What were they looking for? A kilo of snapper? who gave the order in Washington for a missile destroyer to send 18 armed Marines to rain a tuna boat. They were looking for a military incident. If the tuna fishing boys had any kind of weapons and used weapons while in Venezuelan jurisdiction, it would have been the military incident that the warmongers, extremists who want a war in the Caribbean, are seeking. Yikes. I'm on team Nicolas Maduro here.
Oh, I'm on team Maduro here too. Like that's true. I mean, Ted, imagine you're these fishermen, these Venezuelan fishermen. You're literally out there casting your nets and just hanging out, and suddenly here comes like Miami Vice coming, and they just like
by the way, in Venezuelan waters, right?
Like, yeah, they're just
that means
boarding
within
your
12
ship
miles
armed.
of the coast. That's very close.
That's fucking crazy. Like we are the terrorists. What is he talking? What is Trump talking about?
Yeah.
We're the terrorists. America is the terrorists. We are the new pirates.
And kidnap. Yeah, and that's right. Very well said. That's right. Pirates.
This is crazy. This is nuts. I think Maduro's absolutely. I know it's funny that he's like, what are they looking for? A kilo of snapper? That's funny. However, it's totally true. Like this, you are cruising for a fight.
That's what this is about.
This is exactly what it is.
It's trying to manufacture an international incident. You know, Gulf of Tonkin, anyone?
Yeah. Like, but obviously this has been a bipartisan thing for different administrations since the Obama era. They've been trying to get rid of whoever is in charge in Venezuela, right? For decades.
Well, they had a hard-on for Hugo Chavez in a big way. They never got over it.
Correct. So they're just not over it. They try to install Juan Guaido. Remember that? Like they're not over that still. Trump tried to make Juan Guaido a thing. It never became a thing, much like my explosion. Never became a thing. Right. The world just wasn't into Juan Guaido. And they're still not over it. And I think that's what they're aiming to do. And now making it this international incident. I mean, calling Tren de Aragua a terrorist, or really?
It's a gang. Really? It's a gang.
They're a drug gang. They're drugs. They're drug dealers. Like that's okay.
It's not even a cartel. It's a gang.
No, it's a drug dealing gang. I can point to 20 of them in Los Angeles County.
Well, like in fairness, they do things other than just drugs. They also, rob stores, and
they do
and mug people.
Turf. Yeah, they spray paint on turf. So, but the difference between like the gangs in LA that I grew up around, they're not on speedboats, Ted, and not disguised as fishermen. They don't fish.
Well, the fishermen. Well, so Robbie's saying I have zero problem with killing them. So listen, I do, even if they're exactly who Trump says they are. But Trump's not even bothering. The thing that's truly terrifying here is he's presenting no evidence, even to Congress, even classified people who have access to top secret classified material. He's not showing them any evidence whatsoever for his claims. Now, even if those claims were accurate, what he's doing is wrong. But the point is, there's no proof. There's no evidence. I mean, so even if you kill the drug dealers, it's like,
this. And in this instance, in particular,
we don't know that
these were fishermen.
Dealers.
These were fishermen that had their vessels
boarded.
By the
way, there was no I think it's very telling, Manila, that there's no investigation whatsoever by the U.S. military after these two dronings. I mean, they turned these 14 probably Venezuelans, into fish food on the high feeds. They blew them up. They blew up their ship and supposedly their cargo, and they went down to the bottom of the sea, right? And they're eaten by sharks. That's it, right? They're not so there's no investigation. There's no evidence. And by the way, if this were true, let's just say it really was true. Wouldn't you want to conduct an investigation so you could find out about what Tren de Aragua is up to? Wouldn't you want to analyze the cargo, analyze the ship, analyze the people, try to identify them, try to connect them?
Robbie's saying the drug dealers and gangsters, not the fishermen. But at what
point? Leave the fishermen alone.
We agree with that, but the Trump administration is not making any fucking distinction, and they're boarding everybody's vessels and bombing them. So at some point,
without evidence,
At some point, you are going to board the wrong fishing vessel, and the dudes are going to be tense, and they're going to start blasting. Yeah. And then you create an international incident, and boom, there's a new war we have with Venezuela. Lo and behold.
Take a breath.
Manila, I have a solution to all this. You know who's going to put an end to this American bullshit? The orcas. They're going to come and attack. They're going to come and they take no shit. They're going to come and
the orcas are pissed right now about all the boats. So
no, I'm talking about how you're talking about how all the drug dealers and traffickers. I'm talking about the ones that are here in the country. I'm talking about if you're here in the United States, I support the Chinese solution. You shoot them in the back of the head. You build their family for the cost of the bullet. You blow their brains out. You end them, because these cartels, these gangs, what they are doing.
But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about.
I understand. I understand that. I understand. Mm-hmm. That's what I said. I actually support Maduro on this. I'm Team Venezuela. I'm breaking every white winger brain right now. I support Venezuela in this. We do not have the right to go blow up these boats and be pirates on the open seas.
High seas. Yeah.
And if you want to attack Venezuela, look at you, Congress. Do your job. Make the case. Declare war. Mm-hmm. And then we can go in there. And if we do that, I propose we annex Mexico first, and then just march all the way down, secure the passes, and just make North and Central America part of the greater American empire officially, and control that border because it's a lot smaller. If you want to do that, if you want to have cheap Mexican labor, annex the country. Bring them in legally.
Thank you, President Monroe, for joining us here on the TMI Show.
You're welcome. Hey, listen. I mean, at least that's an honest conversation to have. If that's what you want, then do it. But no, what they're talking about doing, they're just blowing up all these boats in the Caribbean. It's retarded. It's stupid, and you cannot be a small government conservative and support what Trump is doing. I mean, he's not a king. As much as he wants to be, he's not a king.
Do you guys agree with the assumption on the part of many people on my side that basically what Trump is doing here and in so many other respects is about like seeing what he can get away with, right? Like just testing things out. Like if I can send troops to an American city and get away with it, maybe I can send troops to every American city. If I can blow up a Venezuelan ship full of random brown people, then maybe I can blow up Americans too. I mean, is this a testing? Let's see how we
Obama already confirmed that we can blow up Americans.
Like a child testing their limits.
Obama already confirmed that we can drone Americans overseas.
Yeah, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it, though.
What are you talking about? Obama killed what's-his-face and his son, the alleged terrorist.
That was over in the Middle East. That wasn't here.
That's what I'm saying. So Obama already says we can kill
Eric Holder.
I
thought you were referring to former Attorney General Eric Holder's statement before Congress that Obama did reserve the right to drone an American citizen on American soil with a simple stroke of a pen.
Well, that's pretty scary.
Yep. Well, that just goes to show, saying that we are the land of the free and that we have constitutional safeguards is a complete joke. And yes, I agree. I do need mental help. One of the commenters on Rumble says, Robbie, get this guy some help. Listen, I need some help because I'm agreeing with the communist.
But wait, but you guys didn't answer my question. Do you think this is Trump just sort of, is this part of some kind of master plan to see what he can get away with?
No, I don't think there is a master plan, period.
He wants to war with Venezuela because he wants the oil. Yeah, I mean, that's all. I mean, that's what this is. He's looking for he's looking for Cassius Belli. Look, for one thing, to say that a drug gang that traffics in drugs, that sells poison, and is engaged in human trafficking is a terrorist organization is wrong. It is an organization that's being used to wage war on the American people, in a narco war, similar to what England did with China during the Opium Wars. That's what this is. It's not terrorism.
No, it's not terrorism.
It is a form of warfare by other means. We have 100,000 dead Americans every year because of drugs.
It's drug smuggling. We have a name for it. It's smuggling, and it's smuggling and selling. Yeah. All right, we should get going. We should talk.
All right, let's move on.
Next topic. Maybe we should keep Robbie on for this one, but let's.
We'll bring him back for sure.
All right.
Oh wait, do we have an ad before you start reading, Robbie? Thumbs up, or we do?
We do.
Oh, we do have an ad.
All
okay, we got to get to that.
And I will read through in my patented fast way. All right, I'll start reading while that comes up. President Trump and his allies are capitalizing on the assassination of Charlie Kirk to open up fresh attacks on liberal institutions, donors, and foundations, seeking to portray many of us on the left as traitors. Appearing on Kirk's former podcast on Monday, Stephen Miller, Trump's deputy chief of staff, denounced liberals. He denounced the organized doxxing campaigns, the organized riots, these are quotes, the organized street violence, the organized campaigns of dehumanization, vilification, posting people's addresses, combining that with messaging that's designed to trigger, incite violence in the actual organized cells that carry out and facilitate the violence. It is a vast domestic terror movement, Miller said. With God as my witness, he said, we are going to use every resource we have at the Department of Justice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read this ad and then we'll continue that. Hey, football fanatics, are you ready for some primetime NFL action? Tune into Westwood One for all the gridiron glory you crave. From jaw-dropping touchdowns to game-changing plays, don't miss a moment of the excitement. Catch every snap, every tackle, and every victory on Westwood One. You can listen to the NFL on the NFL app, on the Westwood One Sports app, on westwoodonesports.com via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One. All right, let me get back to Stephen Miller. We're going to use every resource we have at the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy it's got to be alliterative, these networks, and make America safe again for the American people. It will happen, and we will do it in Charlie's name. Manila, before I go on with this, organized doxing campaigns, organized street violence, organized campaigns of dehumanization, vilification, posting people's addresses. Does that remind you of anything that's happened since, say, October of 2023? I mean, that's what the right has been doing to people who support the Palestinians, to college students, professors. They've been doxing them. They've had organized campaigns of vilification. They posted their addresses on the internet. I mean, are they kidding me? It's like, this is like hilarious that they think this is, that they want to say that this is a left-wing thing. Trump and his allies have long exploited emergencies to push divisive measures. Now he says that left-wing terrorism is a greater threat than terror perpetuated by the right, which is, of course, demonstrably false. Over the last 3 years, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, Cato Institute, and the International Center for Counterterrorism have amassed massive evidence showing that right-wing violence is more prevalent than left-wing violence. The current administration is perpetuating a narrative that erases right-wing violence, including January 6th, and blames the increased political violence on only one side, says Professor of Political Communication at University of Kansas, Jay Childers. Within hours of the assassination of Kirk, Trump placed the blame squarely on the radical left in televised remarks that night. Here's what he said: a tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree, day after day, year after year. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black in the most hateful and despicable way possible. Those on the radical left, what radical left, have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie, not so wonderful, to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country right now, today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as to those who go after our judges. Does that include the right-wingers who killed the judges in New Jersey, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country? Does that include the conservatives who killed the 2 Minnesota state legislators? Anyway, Trump and his MAGA followers have not only just turned Kirk's murder into a political weapon, they're trying to build it into a national movement to publicly out everyone who criticized Kirk on social media after he died and to get them fired. A campaign by public officials and others on the right has led just days after the conservative activist's death to the firing or punishment of teachers, government workers, a TV pundit, and the expectation of more dismissals coming. According to the AP, Sean Duffy, Secretary of Transportation, posted that American Airlines has grounded pilots who were supposedly celebrating Kirk's assassination. This behavior is disgusting and they should be fired, Duffy wrote. I don't care what my American Airlines pilot thinks about Charlie Kirk. I just want them to fucking, get me to my destination safely.
Don't we have a shortage of pilots to begin with?
Good point. War Secretary Pete Hegseth said that his agency was closely tracking any military personnel who celebrated or mocked his death. So no freedom of speech for you, even though you work for a government, even though you're protected by the First Amendment against government censorship. And Christopher Landau, Deputy Secretary of State, said that the administration will strip visas from anyone who celebrates Kirk's death. So even though free speech supposedly applies to everyone who's here, not just citizens, well, I guess that's not really true. Rep. Clay Higgins, Republican of Louisiana, said he will try to seek an immediate ban for life from social media platforms for anyone who belittled the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So that could be like, it wasn't that big a deal. If you said that would be belittling, right? Saying, I'm also going after their business licensing and permitting. Their businesses will be blacklisted aggressively. Dude, blacklisting is literally illegal under the law. And they should be kicked out from every school, and their driver's licenses should be revoked.
Wow.
I'm basically going to cancel with extreme prejudice these evil, sick animals who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. I'm starting that today. Trump and Miller have claimed that the Ford Foundation and George Soros' Open Society Foundations are financing violence on the left. We're going to look into Soros because I think it's a RICO case against him and other people, because this is more than protests, Trump said. Trump was victimized, as you and I both know, by RICO in Georgia. It was fucking wrong when it was done against him. And the last thing that someone who's been victimized by a bad law should do is use that same fucking law against his enemies. Anyway, he said, this is real agitation. This is riots on the street. And we're going to look into that. Laura Loomer posted, I have to say, I do want Trump to be the dictator the left thinks he is. And I want the right to be as devoted to locking up and silencing our violent political enemies as they pretend we are. Not to be outdone, Miller posted on X, in recent days, we've just learned how many Americans in positions of authority, child services, law clerks, hospital nurses. Is a hospital nurse a position of authority, really? Government workers, even DOD employees have been deeply and violently radicalized. Sam Jackson, professor of emergency management and Homeland Security.
Not to be confused with Samuel L.
Right. Trump, Loomer, and many others are using this event to justify crackdowns on political opponents, broadly described as the left. The political right in the U.S. has long tried to argue that the left is responsible for more violence than the right, but that's just simply hasn't been true for decades. Lots of folks have surfaced a lot of evidence to illustrate that the far right has been responsible for a lot more violence in the U.S. than the far left. By the way, Pam Bondi posted on X right before the show, hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime.
Sure.
Attorney General, I receive many death threats. I stopped counting at 1,000 like 20 years ago or more. So I'm just wondering, does this apply to me? Probably not. For far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, and cheer on political violence. Let me just tell you, I have voluminous files of death threats against me. Any liberal, left-wing, progressive, cartoonist, writer, pundit, podcaster has the same. Okay, so it is not a left-wing thing. Under 18 U.S. Code subparagraph 875C, it's a federal crime to transmit any communication containing any threat to kidnap any person or any threat to injure the person of another. Blah blah blah. More quotes. You cannot call for someone's murder. You cannot swat a member of Congress. You cannot dox a conservative family and think it will be brushed off as free speech. You're the Attorney General of the United States, not the Attorney General of MAGA, Ms. Bondi, okay? So how come you don't say you cannot dox a family, but instead a conservative family? I've been doxed. It's like, I'm not a conservative. How come I'm not covered by Pam Bondi? These acts are punishable crimes, and every single threat will be met with full force of the law. That's a lie, because you don't care if it happens to a liberal. Free speech protects ideas, debate, even dissent, but it does not and will never protect violence. It's clear that this violent rhetoric is designed to silence others from voicing conservative ideals. We will never be silenced, not for our friends, not for our freedoms, and never for Charlie. His legacy will not be erased by fear or intimidation. So this is rank opportunism on the part of the right. All they're trying to do, after years of whining and complaining, correctly, by the way, and I always agreed with them.
Right. I agreed with them.
Like these campus
cancel culture sucks.
Campus assholes who shouted down right wingers when they appeared on campus.
Yes.
And like had appearances canceled.
I hate that.
Canceled and shut down and stuff. But they whinged and whined about that. Now they see their chance to do the same fucking thing, but even more efficiently, because right wingers are more efficient than left wingers. They're going to do it. They're a bunch of hypocritical pieces of shit who themselves should never be taken seriously by anyone. I would still defend their right to speak, but they're never going to defend my right to speak. So fuck them.
Sure. No, I'm with you on that. I hate cancel culture. Like I said yesterday when I came back on air after being gone last week, I was very saddened by the death of Charlie Kirk. I only met him that one time, but that's not the whole point. The whole point is the way it happened. I'm human.
It's a horror. It's horror.
Horrible.
Never should have. I mean, it's absolutely, by the way,
it's a horrific event.
Let's just say that for the sake of argument, the murderer had been had every Ted Rall book, loved the Anti-American Manifesto, voted for Bernie. Okay, that still would just be one guy. One guy. It's not it's not a war. It's one dude. But on top of that, we don't even know that. That's not even true. We don't know anything about this guy's politics. He seems to be like a quirky Gen Z gamer dude whose politics are amorphous. And anyway, they're not known. They're not well understood.
Don't know. But the whole thing is, even though I'm not a conservative, I started out as a progressive when I was young, and maybe I lean a little more that way oftentimes because those are
you did vote
my
for
roots.
The president.
But I don't subscribe to all that shit now. I'm probably libertarian at this point, not officially, but that's probably where I stand. And I didn't always agree with Charlie Kirk, but the fact is you should never celebrate someone's fucking murder. What kind of disgusting person are you? What kind of morals do you have? Like, you need to check deep within your soul and how you were raised and who you are and how you view and value human life. The same reason that I was pissed off at you and Robbie for practically celebrating Luigi Mangione killing Brian Thompson, the United Health CEO. I condemn murder. I condemn violence. I condemn all war. I condemn, the death penalty.
So you're telling me that
through against that kind of that I'm against murder.
So you would have been sad, on April 30th, 1945, when Hitler killed himself. Well, that's not murder. But...
He killed himself. So that's still sad if somebody loses their life. Like, that's always a sad thing. And
okay, just checking on consistency here.
I'm very consistent. Like, I don't think. But, suicide is a different conversation than, that's your life. I don't agree that you should end it, but that's your life. If you choose to do that, that's your own life. You're taking that into your own hands. Nobody has the right to take your life away from you.
I want to be really clear.
Point blank. Definitely not the state, not a fucking random person on the street. Nobody has the fucking right to take your life from you. That is yours. That is yours and up to God.
Obviously, I agree, and I'm against the death penalty for that reason. Now, that said, look, I don't think you have to mourn anyone. Look, I got to tell you, honestly, I didn't.
Right, it's not against the law to be a soulless fucking ghoul. It's not against the law to be an asshole. It's not against the law.
And I didn't have strong opinions about Charlie Kirk because I barely knew who he was. I mean, when I heard about it, I looked it up. I was reminded, this is the guy who co-founded Turning Point USA. I never followed him. I really didn't know much about him. I had to research. So it's not like I could see, though, how someone who had followed his rhetoric, year after year after year and had paid attention to him might really have grown to hate him. And that's not me. I just, I didn't have I didn't have a dog in the fight because I never paid attention to him. And so for me, I just think it's, I look at it very simply. I'm like, this is not a man who personally really did any harm to anyone. And I don't buy the idea that, like, having
words
toxic ideas or toxic,
violence is violence.
Even if
words are words.
They're just words. And the point is, now I do think, like, if you're, if you have beef with the policymakers, who are killing children in Gaza.
But here's the conversation.
I get that.
We're straying from the conversation. The conversation here is supposed to be this whole cancel culture thing, which I find abhorrent on either side. I don't care what it is. We have freedom of speech in this country that should be protected.
And I'm you're
an asshole.
I'm the only leftist probably who argued this after January 6th. When people were being doxxed and fired from their jobs for having, attended January 6th. After Charlottesville, same thing. And I came out against this very strongly. And I said, like, we shouldn't be doing this. Like, these people's politics are the opposite of my own, but they have the right to them. And, like, the ability for someone to, like, there was a pizza guy who was fired over his job. I mean, fortunately, a pizza job is probably easily replaced. But still, why should he be fired if
you're a white supremacist?
As long as I don't care if he's a white supremacist.
I don't care. Right. I don't care if you're a white supremacist. Maybe you're fucking amazing at your CPA job and you find all the tax loopholes.
Good for you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like, great. Like, you want to do my taxes? Great. I don't care that you call me a horrible little yellow person. I don't care.
Let's just say it's a white supremacist, right? Well, I mean, do you really think that white supremacist is going to be, like, after being fired, doxxed, abused, impoverished by the establishment,
he's going to be
they're going to come around and think, you know what? Jews are actually awesome, and actually black people are great. I love them. No, it's going to reconfirm his idea that, like, he's being victimized by these forces, right? So and there's reason for him to think that.
There's blowback. Right? There's always blowback.
So it's not a good idea if the best
correct course.
No, I mean, like, for sure. I mean, you don't want to isolate people and deprive them of a living and separate them from polite society. I mean, from the standpoint, again, like, let's just say you look at the Stephen Miller stuff. Or Pam Bondi. We're going to find these people. We're going to get them fired. They're not going to be able to drive a car anymore. Okay, well, let's just put that into perspective. You want to build my side, a left-wing revolutionary army? You keep it up. You're going to radicalize the left in a way that they've never been radicalized since the 60s.
Ted, I'm going to give the left a little freebie here, a little freebie bit of information. If you change your name to Epstein, she will not be able to find you because she will lose every file that's on her desk with your name. So listen to me. I'm dead serious. But it
depends on the meaning of the word file.
We were saying Ted should convert at the top of the show.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about every lefty. And for the record, I didn't follow Charlie Kirk very much. My kids though loved him, and that was his target audience.
Their age demo.
Yeah. So that's what he would do.
They are Turning Point USA's age demo. Yeah. That's exactly right.
And people keep saying he was saying hateful things. I've been looking. I can't find anything hateful that the man said.
Oh, I can't. But who cares? That's not the point.
Well, tell me.
That's not the.
What did he say that was hateful?
Well, like, for example, that any professor who expresses left-wing ideals in the classroom should be fired.
Yeah, that's just retarded.
That's an opinion, though. I don't know if that's hateful.
Well, I mean, if your entire idea, if the entire idea is
a lot
free
of stuff
speech,
that's been portrayed as hateful, I would say is not hateful. Like, for example, he said he hated affirmative action, and he was like, and he insulted the intelligence of some prominent black people who held high positions, and he was, like, insulting their intelligence. But I think the point he was trying to make was about affirmative action, not that black people are stupid. But a lot of black people saw that as reading that way, and I mean, I could see why they saw that as that way. But my point is, I don't care. He had all the right in the world to be hateful. I mean, I sat down. I had a fucking great conversation for 3 fucking hours on the air with David Duke. One of the most interesting, wide-ranging discussions I ever had on KFI
talked to David
Radio.
Duke?
Yeah, he was in studio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, honestly, it was like a bromance. Afterwards, he was like, "We should hang." You're fascinating, and I was like, "I agree." He was fascinating, and like the point is, like, obviously we don't agree with each other about anything, but like, he respected me because I didn't, I'd read his book, and instead of like attacking the specific points one by one, I was like, so, you should kind of probably owe royalties to the Hitler estate because you lifted this chapter from Mein Kampf, that chapter from Mein Kampf. And he's like, "You read Mein Kampf?" I'm like, "I've read Mein Kampf like 10 times. And it's like, it's boring as shit, which is why you have to keep rereading it in order to absorb it. And it's like, I studied World War II. Of course I read Mein Kampf. And he was impressed.
He straight up copied?
Pretty much, yeah. He's a plagiarist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm like, he adapted, obviously German 1920s politics to the state, the United States in the 90s. But still, yeah, he's a plagiarist. And so I came at him like intellectually instead of like, "You're a bad person for hating Jews."
Like, you bigoted fucking what?
Yeah, like, I didn't, it's like he's entitled to think that America is and should remain
he's entitled.
a white European country. I mean, he's entitled to think that. I don't care that he thinks that. It doesn't harm. I don't think these are not thoughts that I totally disagree with these thoughts. But like, who cares? And no one should hurt him or shoot him over these thoughts.
Right.
No one should touch a hair on his chinny chin.
These young Gen Zers that are dancing on TikTok. I mean, I find that gross.
It's tasteless as shit.
Yeah, I find it
get
gross.
fired for it.
However, you're looking.
But I think they shouldn't get fired. That's the thing. I don't feel like
things. But look,
one thing has anything to do with the other.
But look, a man's died, right? He was a political man. He lived a life of politics and a life of letters. That person, it's only fair. Like, if I dropped dead right now, well, probably the next day or two is when people are going to be talking about Ted Rall, what did his life mean, and what was he all about? And a lot of people who hated what I had to say would say, like, I was a bad person for saying this and doing and drawing
for
that.
XYZ,
and that's totally as it should be. It's totally it's totally fair and appropriate.
But you wouldn't want anyone to be fired for it.
No, not at all.
But here's what's crazy. People keep saying that Charlie Kirk was some kind of a radical. He wasn't. He was a moderate. The dude was a moderate Republican.
Correct. But this conversation, because we're running out of time, this conversation is not about that.
Thank you,
this is about firing the TikTokers and people like, literally dancing on his grave. I get that it's distasteful. I get that it's not something I would do. It's not something I would be thrilled about if my kid were doing it. I'd raise my kid with more compassion
I've made fun of dead
than that.
People millions of times in my cartoons. I made fun of Jerry Garcia when he died. It's like I had him play.
Yeah, but it's different. It's different when they're old and die on their own.
I had him playing a concert in hell, and he's wearing a T-shirt that says
different.
"Staff."
One thing that I would like to point out, and this is something that people, the Republicans and Democrats and people on the left and the right both need to realize. All this crap about cancel culture, debanking, all this other stuff, if you trace it back, you can lay it squarely at the feet of the ADL. That is a bona fide fact. They are the ones who started going off on this. Laura Loomer, if there's one person who should lose her job, it's that woman, because not only is she stupid, but she's really stupid, and she's the worst kind of stupid. She doesn't realize how stupid she is.
Well,
she's just completely retarded.
And
she has an audience.
When you have a fucking cycle like this, which, look, in the modern era, I think you have to trace this back to World War I and 1920s, the Palmer raids, and then that's the first Red Scare, and then McCarthyism in the 1950s, and the Hollywood blacklist.
Look, we're all black. We're blacklisted, Ted, because we're Russian agents. We're Russian. That's a different kind of McCarthyism.
There was definitely a new McCarthyism after 9/11 as well, and I was a victim of that. And I went into 9/11. All right, on 9/11. You're looking at a man who had a full-time radio gig in Los Angeles at prime time. I was in Time magazine, Fortune, Forbes, every issue. I was in 140 newspapers, syndicated internationally. Within 2 years after 9/11, I was down to 50 newspapers, no more job, no more magazines. My income was like reduced by 75% or more. And it was
whose wife did you sleep with?
It was a censorship program by the left, by the right. I mean, literally, I know because like my clients would show me piles of letters, all with the same exact verbiage sent from basically people who they downloaded the letter from the internet, and they're like, oh, you know, and they would write to like the Kansas City Star and say, dump Ted Rall. They didn't even live in fucking Kansas or Missouri, right? So they live in fucking Florida. And so the point is, and a lot of these editors would cancel me because they were scared of that shit. I was dropped by Men's Health magazine. I did cartoons about relationships and sex for Men's Health. I was dropped because of my Pat Tillman cartoon that never even appeared in Men's Health. McCarthyism is definitely more from the right to the left, but you know, the left they've been going crazy on college campuses in particular. And elsewhere as well.
The left does a good job about getting in front of TV cameras, I think, is a big part of it. I think that's where a lot of this comes from, honestly. Like, for example, I think Obama kind of made this thing mainstream back with his beer summit. Remember back then when that cop arrested this black dude trying to be a professor? He locked himself out of his house. Well,
he was a professor.
Yeah, I know. And the cops got a call saying, hey, there's this dude trying to break into this house.
Yeah.
And so that's when this all kind of started. That's when this kind of just started snowballing. And just one thing I just want to just point out, and I'll go away because I know that we're going long. They'll talk about political violence and
and by the way, don't forget, but you know, I got to say these things go back far. Like even in the early '80s, when I was at Columbia, they had those Take Back the Night rallies where like women who claimed that they had been sexually assaulted on campus would stand up at a microphone in the middle of Broadway and 116th Street. They'd close down the street and call out and say, John Smith, raped me and he did this, he did that. And like, the person would be fucked, right? They'd basically have to drop out of school, whether it was true or not. It very often wasn't. So this shit goes way back.
That's libel.
Well, that's the problem with the whole Me Too thing.
Well, you do have to sue. You do have to sue.
That's libel.
No, the thing is that Abraham Lincoln, let's be fair, he invented cancel culture. I mean, he shut down newspapers, using the force of the army to do it. He threatened to put the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in jail. I mean, so we do have a very long and storied tradition of this.
And don't forget, also the New York Times had to cease publication after the publication of the Pentagon Papers in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
for like 2 weeks?
And as a right winger, I do want y'all to. I'm going to plug your book, y'all. Serious, get a copy of What's Left. It's on raw.com. He's not paying me to say this. I'm a right winger. I don't agree with Ted on several things, but I do agree with him on a lot. And that's how you're able to do this. And I think that's the biggest loss with Charlie Kirk's assassination, is that he fomented conversation.
Yeah, he did.
Right or wrong. You can agree or disagree, but the dude actually got people talking.
I love how the criticism is, it was a shtick. Okay.
So
miracles were Jesus' shtick, right? It's a good shtick. Let's have more of that shtick.
So what?
And to say that, to call him a fascist who deserved to be killed, for one thing, I'm far more radical than Charlie Kirk ever thought about being.
Yes, he is.
I'm a lot more radical.
David Duke should not be killed. You know what I mean?
Right.
I agree. But the way that you do this is conversation.
I had beef with you two for not having any humanity towards Brian Thompson, the United Health CEO,
Brian
who was
Thompson
gunned down in the street.
Brian Thompson profits off of the death of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah,
the dude.
He's a ghoul.
Right. It's nobody else's right to take your fucking life.
I agree with that.
Bottom line. Bottom line.
No, it was not.
Here's how I look.
But I don't. No one should have done it. But I don't.
Okay, listen. I'm going to.
No one misses him. You know what I mean?
I'm going to go on a little rabbit trail here, and then I'll go away. So the way I look at this, again, as the Christian on the panel, back in biblical law, the avenger, someone whose family member was killed through murder or through manslaughter, had the right, if that person was not in a city of refuge, to track down and end the person who was responsible for the death of your family member. Thompson was responsible for profit for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people.
That's true.
I can make a biblical case that this guy had exactly coming to him what he deserved.
I think if anyone deserves
now we're cherry picking.
I think
There's a difference between assassination for someone using their words, saying, hey, so let me put it to you this way. If I came onto this podcast and if I was wearing blackface, would that be considered wrong and racist?
Yeah.
Then why is
it? I'm not bothered by it.
I don't understand.
I'm not bothered by it.
Okay, y'all in the chat.
Blackface. I never understood why people did it, like in the minstrel days. I don't really get it, but that's because I've never done a deep dive into it.
Ask Justin Trudeau. I don't know.
It seems retarded to me.
I'm not bothered by it.
So y'all in the chat.
Tiffany's, they yellow faced. So like,
y'all wanted it. If I came on blackface, either here or deprogrammed wherever else, and put on a show, start pretending that I was a black dude, would that be racist? If the answer is yes, then I submit to you that coming on, being a tranny, pretending like you are a woman when you're a dude, is every bit as wrong. Because
we haven't had any.
You're taking a reality that does not belong to you.
We have not had any trans guests. By the way, you want to do that, Robbie? As far as I'm concerned, you can come on in blackface. You'll be invited back. I don't care.
I know it would be, but that's the point, though.
Your fashion choices are on you. You want to come on with a swastika on your forehead? You do you.
YouTube would not like that one bit. That'd be a Rumble exclusive.
Oh my God.
I'm serious. I would not hold. I would be like, I
would be freaking hilarious. But that's the point that I'm trying to make, though. Honestly, is we're talking about it. It would obviously be a joke or whatever. It would be edgy. It would be stupid. I would never do it. But just say if I did. One of those things is socially taboo. It's wrong. You get destroyed as being called a racist or anything else and just buried. On the flip side, though, I can put on a dress, go to a local gym and say, hey, I'm a girl, and go into this gym, and if someone says something about it, then that person's transphobic. They're both wrong because it's both an abject denial of reality.
Okay, but this we're far afield here.
It doesn't matter. But that's the conversation.
But Manila did bring up the question of, and I think it's important. Look, Robbie, your distinction, I really want to linger on that a little bit.
Sure.
Brian Thompson's words were not at issue here. I don't even know what his words were. As far as I know, he never said anything that was offensive to anybody. No, the issue here is that for profit, he murdered people by the thousands. And that's let's put it this way. Maybe nobody should be killed that way. But if anyone should be, it's him.
Murder one is murder one. Period. Murder is murder.
Yeah, and Luigi's in prison. He's never getting out.
Well, I mean, to Robbie's point earlier, I don't know how any of this is a victory, but he had the terrorism charge dropped.
Well, that's not terrorism.
That's not terrorism. I mean, what government was he trying to overthrow?
Yeah, it's not terrorism.
What politics was he trying to influence by sending this rule to the next world?
But that's where I find hypocrisy.
Evil fucking dude,
I find hypocrisy.
And by the way, to the people who say
with your guy,
Charlie,
with
the people who say that, I bet you a lot of people.
There's no hypocrisy. I made a sound biblical case.
A lot of people who
I don't care. Murder is murder.
A lot of people who pick on Charlie Kirk. I bet those same people had a problem with Brian Thompson's death. I bet a lot of them were like, now that's not okay. And
wait, say that again, Ted?
I bet a lot of liberals who are making fun of Charlie Kirk and talking about the things that he purportedly said, because a lot of them aren't true, that a lot of them were more disquieted by what Luigi allegedly did to Brian Thompson, the United CEO. And it's kind of like, because here's the real issue. The left is obsessed, the American left is obsessed with words. They don't care about policies or actions. Brian Thompson's policies and actions killed people for money, at an industrial scale.
Well, then you got to change the laws.
Kirk didn't kill anyone. Charlie Kirk didn't do shit.
Your beef can't be with poor Brian Thompson.
Manila, okay. So you say you want to change
he was within the scope. The scope of the existing laws in the United States says that guy was just the CEO of a healthcare company. That's all he did. So if you're saying he was murdering people tacitly because he was the CEO of United Health,
death camp commander.
Then then you have a problem with the laws of this land and how he was able to exploit those laws.
He's comparable to Hans Frank.
I'm going to make the same case to you right now.
Somebody gunning him down on the street is, to me, equally as bad as somebody gunning down Charlie Kirk at his speaking engagement. Murder is murder. Period.
It's not, and I can make the case for you.
No, I mean, Luigi should be found guilty of littering, maybe, because he didn't clean improper disposal of a body. He left shell casings on a clean Manhattan street after the sidewalk had been cleaned.
Hold on, is there such thing as a clean street?
Like $100 fine, maybe.
Is there such thing as a clean street in New York?
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Okay, because I've never been. So now, to Manila's point, I'm going to say this. I'm going to go away because we're going way over, and this is a fun rabbit trail. I'm enjoying it.
Going to get spicy today.
But I'm going to dismantle this argument like right now because this is super easy. Manila just threw a really slow one over the plate, and I'm about to hit a grand slam. First, Charlie Kirk did not in any way, shape, or form hurt anybody. He had no profit motive whatsoever with what he did. The man.
He totally had a profit motive.
You think this is going to be a grand slam, but please bring it. Please.
What do you know? Hold on. Profit motive.
Hold on. Let me speak.
To make money.
Let me speak. So he went to college, and what he did is that he debated, and what he did is that he made a few points. Men are not women. Women are not men. You should get married, have kids. And for the most part, college is a scam. You're better off getting into the trades. All of those things are true. Okay. Here is what it is with Brian Thompson. Here's the difference. You say if you don't like what Brian Thompson and the profit model is for his business, that you change the laws. I submit to you, you simply cannot do that. Because Big Pharma has these things called lobbies, and they control Congress. Congress is who passes laws.
Call Barry Obama. He tried to change the law modestly.
There is no way whatsoever that you, me, or 100 million Americans could get Congress to change the laws because we don't have government by the people. We have government by donor. So if you get to the point, and this is the problem, and this is what I told Angie Wong when I put her on the cross, saying the same exact thing. When you start doing this, and you start governing by fiat through corruption, and you have a ruling class that despises the people it's supposed to rule, when those people figure out that the people in DC not only hate you, but they despise you, they do not care about you. At that point, the people are going to rise up, and I submit to you, per the Declaration of Independence, when the government becomes tyrannical and there's no other redress, the only option that you have is to overthrow that government. This is a good first step. The man was a ghoul,
but that's neither here nor there. Where we are is murder one. And for your personal opinion and biblical standings,
by whose definition?
I'm saying the laws that are on the books right now, and based on your personal beliefs, you call abortion murder.
It is.
Ted Rall would argue differently.
No, I wouldn't. No, I think it should. I think it's murder, but it should be. But I think it should be legal murder. Of course, it's murder. I mean, it's science. I mean, as soon as you have cellular division, you have life. If you end life, it's murder. Of course, it's murder. I just think that women need the right.
That was lawful murder.
Women require the right to murder their unborn children.
So that one is lawful murder, Ted and Robbie.
Yeah.
So Ted,
lawful murder. Sort of like self-defense.
And so what you're arguing,
war is lawful murder.
What you're arguing, Robbie, is that because of the motive of behind Brian Thompson's murder, that should somehow be lawful based on biblical standings and background.
Yeah, of course, because if you are going, if the entire issue is that our government does not address the needs of the people because it is a wholly owned subsidiary to big donors, there is no regress for the common person. If someone's going to lash out at that point, if you're going to avenge yourself or your society, then you do whatever it is that is necessary to overthrow that tyrannical government. For example, is there anyone that
we're talking about here?
Of course it is.
Murder one.
It's the same. It's the same thing.
It's murder. Okay. Murder is murder. So but Robbie, you qualify abortion where a woman has a legal right to choose to to terminate her pregnancy.
Correct.
You equivocate that to murder.
So there's no equivocation to it at all. It is murder. Okay, so here's the difference.
So that's my point is you're saying you're making this distinction there that's murder and that's not okay. And then the one with Charlie Kirk is not okay because it's based on words, but the one with Brian Thompson is okay. So my argument simply is murder is clean cut. You do not have the right to take somebody else's life. Period. If we're going to live in this so-called Western society that we have, where we have to agree that we're not going to go steal each other's shit in our houses, we agree to not break
steals my shit every day. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you and me. I agree to not break into your house and steal your shit. I agree to not go into Ted's apartment and kill Clovis. We have this agreement, this social contract to not fucking kill each other. That's what living in a society is.
We kill each other every day.
We're in murder. Don't go. I'm basing this on laws.
Manila,
the laws that we have is you cannot go around killing.
But Manila, there's a certain point.
Hold on, Ted. Just real quick. Let me just jump in. So Manila, do you understand the case I'm making for each of these scenarios you laid out?
You're trying to justify why one is acceptable and the other is not.
Okay, I'm not trying to. I am. So again, let me just repackage this again. An unborn baby is guilty of no crime. Killing that child is wrong. That child, by definition, has done nothing wrong. That's why I oppose bombing kids in Gaza. They've done nothing wrong. They are innocent. That is an act of murder.
I agree. Okay, I'm against murder of all sorts.
Number two, Charlie Kirk. The man hurt no one. He was going to college campuses. Hold on.
Yeah, who cares?
Fuck your feelings. He's going to college campuses and he is making an argument, trying to change minds, which I thought was the entire point of living in a democratic society. Ryan Thompson, he made a living off of choosing who lives and who dies for profit, by denying medication to people who need it for cancer or any other number of things for profit for shareholders. The man was a ghoul. There was zero empathy with what he did. Everything for what he was doing was a profit margin. And that man, for the sake of money, consigned people to death in slow, painful, agonizing ways. I know this for a fact because of my job.
That's why the polls showed that people approved of Brian Thompson's murder. They don't approve of Charlie Kirk's murder. There might even people who think that he was an asshole, for the most part, don't think he should have been killed.
Now,
it's like, let's put it this way. Manila, it was against Polish law or under the law of the General Gouvernement of Nazi Germany that was then governing Poland. It would have been illegal to kill the camp commander of Auschwitz-Birkenau, right? However, it's like if you're a resistance fighter and you get your shot from the forest outside the death camp on the day that Hans Frank happens to be out, with his family, going for a little walk.
Walking his dog,
and you pop him, you violated the law, no question. But if you've done anything wrong, that's the question here.
And so that's the case that I'm making, is that it all comes down to motive.
Wrong? Answer the question, Mel.
Yeah, I don't believe that I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't believe in war.
Jews and everyone up, gypsies up the fucking chimney, 20,000 a day.
Two
this
wrongs,
guy's in charge of it all.
6 million wrongs, and one more don't make a right. Like that's
okay. All right. Well, I admire your consistency.
I'm consistent. I'm anti-war. I am anti-death penalty. I am anti all of those things that kill, that extinguish human life. Those are not things I would engage in, and those are not things that I would ever promote. Now, if it's somebody like in terms of abortion, that's where I kind of get libertarian. It's not something I would engage in, but that's somebody else's body.
This is going long. Let me ask you another question, and Robbie can ask more if he wants. But I got to. So, Manila, let's just say in my scenario, right? Like,
just like I wouldn't get gay married.
Hans Frank in the forest, and I know that operations are going to be disrupted at Auschwitz for a week. And so 140,000 people aren't going to die as a result of my actions. And I've saved 140,000 people before they get a new commander and they get back up to speed. But I killed Hans Frank. Am I a bad person?
Sure. That's like the Hitler, if you could put him out in the crib. That's that kind of question.
Yeah, it is that. So, well, it's actually, it's the thing about, no, the difference is with Hitler, that presupposes a foreknowledge that we can't have. But like, for sure, people knew the 20,000 people a day were dying at Auschwitz. Okay, so for years. So for about 2 years.
I would oppose not only what Frank was doing, but I would oppose you murdering somebody, because then you have that on your conscience.
But am I a bad person?
No, hold on. But it's not murder though, because it's an act of war.
I deserve a fucking ticker tape parade down Broadway.
For some people would probably do that for you, but I'm against it. I'm against any kind of murder. I'm against the whole idea of killing en masse. I'm against wars. I'm against all of that.
But sometimes in some scenarios, I think this is, Robbie, forgive me if I'm misstating what you're saying, but I think Robbie and I kind of agree. Sometimes when there's no other form of redress, look, Brian Thompson should be subject to a people's tribunal under a revolutionary government, and he should have been imprisoned and then sent to a re-education camp and rehabilitated so that he could then become, a good patriotic American who doesn't like to kill people for money. But since that's not available to us, and we can't have United Healthcare shut down, and we can't have socialized medicine, and we can't have for-profit medical care, eliminated. It's like, basically, he's like a camp commander. There's no other fucking way to make him stop other than to pop him.
Well, that, again, because I'm steadfast in my position against any kind of murder.
But there's no other
whether
redress.
It's by the state.
You can't make it stop. You have this bloodbath of every day. Thousands of Americans are being killed by these insurance companies, and it's a bloodbath. I mean, if 3,000 people died on 9/11, we don't stop fucking talking about it. I know it's horrible because they jumped out the fucking window. But they died in a hospital bed without getting proper care. We don't give a shit because they're all in different places, right?
And this was the whole thing. Why I voted for Bernie back then in the first place, right? Was because he was talking about this universal health care conversation, so that way everybody can be cared for. But that's talking about changing the law. And we're not talking about changing the law.
You can't change the law. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's correct. So you got to get down to the, like Robbie pointed out, the whole lobbying thing. You can change the law. That's the point. Is you can, but you have to root out this horribly deep-rooted problem that we have had with all the money. With all the money. You got to change Citizens United. We got to change. I mean, there's so much that needs to be changed.
Get money out of politics? How? Money's never going to be out of politics, ever, because it's money. And politicians like money.
Like, for example, can anyone deny with a straight face that the whole reason why DC and Europe writ large are aiding and abetting a genocide right now in Gaza, where probably over 200,000 people have been killed, is not because of lobby money?
It's only because, it's about lobby money, and it's about the military-industrial complex.
And who spends more on the lobby? The Israeli lobby or Big Pharma?
Say again?
Who spends more money on American elections? Big Pharma or the Israeli lobby? Who
Pharma.
Spends more?
Pharma.
So then, do you honestly think Congress is going to do anything? The whole reason why
a revolution could change it, and
the whole reason why the founding fathers, the whole reason why they went to war against England, was because the king and parliament would not address the issues they're bringing up over a 2-cent tax on tea. That's how far we have fallen.
Which was a modest tax, by the way.
Of course it was, and it was to help pay for their defense in the French and Indian War. Yeah. That didn't matter because they were against this whole concept of taxation without representation. It didn't matter about the money; it was all about the principle. Mm-hmm. So now, just fast forward 250 years, we have corporations running our government. I mean, forget calling Charlie Kirk a fascist. Our government is fascist by definition. We are controlled by corporate interests.
Right, that's true. It's classic Italian fascism.
And so then at that point, I'll just make this last argument, and I will go away.
There's no appetite to change it doesn't
mean
it's
not true.
It's not
plenty of appetite.
That it's not the ability. No, there's no appetite to change it. Everybody drops out of
show. If you could send,
not the American people. I'm talking about in Congress. Well, there's no appetite to change the laws.
That's the whole point.
That is the point.
That's the American people want to change it, but we keep electing the same assholes that won't change it.
The American people aren't. If you're given a choice between corporatist 1 and corporatist 2, I mean, you don't. Is that a choice? That's not a choice.
And I've said this on our old show at Sputnik, and I'm saying it again.
It's not a democracy, Manila.
You have to change it from the ground up, and there's nobody is really willing to take the helm to take those appropriate and necessary changes of how we get people on the ballot, of how, like I said, Citizens United is one of them.
Manila, I would run against Ryan Zinke next year if I had the money to do it. I can't go on the ballot. I don't have $1 million.
Do you have $15 million lying around up your ass?
I don't have the money.
That's
the problem.
Point.
And so you're actually making my point for me.
I said this very thing on Sputnik 3 years ago.
You can't change the system. It's the system. That's why it's the system.
That's why.
And there's people that are in office that'll continue to protect it, while the people on the street want something different.
Right.
But that's how you get political violence. That's the whole issue here. And I know we're going to be having this premium episode tomorrow. This is the whole problem. The reason why Trump is doing this with Charlie Kirk and running this thing to the hilt, to quote the Rahm Emanuel, never let a crisis go to waste. Because as soon as the communists like Ted and the righties like me and whatever the hell you are, Manila, wake up that the people in D.C. are the ones that are fucking all of us, that's when D.C. goes up in flames. And to make sure that doesn't happen is that they play us against each other for as long as they possibly can. That's the issue. Because when people on the right figure out that no one's going to help them, no one's going to save them, and they figure out they got all the guns and they've got a lot of power. Mao Zedong is right. Political power goes out of the barrel of a rifle. When they figure that out, all bets are off. And we're not going to have another civil war like Lee against Grant. What we're going to have is make the French Revolution look like a walk through the freaking park. And that's what scares the hell out of me. And I would rather have 6 or 7 Brian Thompsons get taken out because they are so corrupt, instead of 60 million Americans starving to death when this whole thing goes up in flames. Because mark my words, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it is true that if you killed 6, healthcare CEOs, they'd straighten up. Honestly.
Well, the thing is, I don't think that they would, because even after Brian Thompson got taken out, there was no conversation about actually addressing the issues. It was about, we got to get more security.
Yeah, take their names off the corporate website. Yeah.
How about you stop using AI to determine who lives and who dies, so your profit margins will go up, so that you can get yourself another house in Hawaii?
Yeah, but I think honestly, if it just became a thing, like how to be number 2 in Al Qaeda,
like a year of live,
was a very dangerous job for a long time. It's like no one would want that job at a certain point. Let's just say it's like, hey Ted, the good news is we're offering you a $10 million a year job. The bad news is it's CEO of United Healthcare. I'd be like, I like my cat. I like my kid. I like my podcast. I like breathing. So I think I'm going to pass up on that job. And if they couldn't get anyone to do it because it was scary, because they'd all be killed, an armed society is a polite society.
Well, it's just like, what the hell is the name of that slave who led that slave revolt? The biggest one in American history back in the 1830s. Last name was Taylor, I think. He led a slave revolt, killed a whole bunch of families. Actually, I ended up calling the militia up from Virginia and North Carolina. Nat Turner, yep. Nat Turner. to Manila's point, what he did was murder.
100%.
But he used violence as a way because he had zero power in any other way to make a point.
Help. Yeah,
of course not. And so that's the question: is when do you realize that whenever a government has its foot on your neck, and that's the whole the whole thing with the whole COVID thing. It just ties into it. Who owns my body? Do I own it, or does the state own it?
If
the state owns my body,
I would want to be highly responsive to the people. Otherwise, I'd be like setting up my own demise. I mean, even Nazi Germany, which was a totalitarian dictatorship, even they were concerned about public opinion. And the way they handled that was they couldn't do polling because everyone was scared of pollsters. So they had spies go to cafes and bars and listen to people who were drinking, who tended to have looser tongues. And they talked and they reported back to Berlin, oh, people are really concerned about the Fuhrer. They think he's not paying attention to this and that. And that's how they got feedback about what was going on and what the German people were actually thinking. I mean, the point is American Congress, our system, they don't care at all what we think. At all. I mean, if they did, we'd have socialized medicine because most Americans want it. If they did, we wouldn't have had open borders because most Americans didn't want it. If they did, we would never have had free trade agreements because most Americans didn't want them. It's the point is we're an afterthought. They come con us into our votes every 4 years.
You know how in Europe, in the UK, for example, or in France, we just watched Emmanuel Macron's government just collapse again.
That's a great example. He doesn't care about the French people.
It would be great. It would be great if we can constantly collapse Congress and start over, pick new people.
Because the system is set up to oppress us. It's not a democracy. It's not even a republic. It's an oligarchy.
The only way that we could actually address this would be by repealing the 17th Amendment.
I think we need to overthrow the government and start from scratch.
Well, then, if there gets to be more political violence, join Team Righty, because I guarantee that's what's going to happen. And on
maybe we can have an alliance of convenience and agree to disagree on certain issues.
That's the side that has more guns. I'll just say that much.
I don't think abortion's an important issue, enough to not have an alliance with people on the right. I don't.
Well, the Democrats and most of the
class issues are far more important.
Most of the liberals.
Hey, listen. If we can agree, if we can agree to close the borders and deport 100 million illegals, right there with you. Shake hands, brother.
I think I would basically say, what's done is done. Let them stay, except for the criminals, but no more.
Get them out.
No more.
Get them out.
No, I've said that. I've said that with, I'm for the dreamers. I'm for, I've said that. They're here. They're here. They're part of the society.
Accept the facts on the ground. Yeah, kind of as they are.
Leave them alone. Stop talking with people. They're here.
Not to mention, they're not for long. They're victims of it as much as we are.
Yeah.
God, we're spiraling
way over. We're no more stories. We're done. We're calling it a day.
Okay.
This is fun.
Let's talk about
tomorrow. Calling it a day.
Hey, hold on. Hey, we got an ad.
Tomorrow, let's talk about Robert Redford. Okay, because honestly,
we got to mention. Yeah. Well, yeah.
And then also remember, we also have our premium.
So just leave him in the rundown tomorrow.
Yeah. We also have our premium episode tomorrow, which is going to be fun.
Ooh, that'll be fun. All right.
Yeah, it is. Hold on 1 second. Rumble just sent us an ad. Let me see if I can make it pop up here.
You go ahead and read it.
Deal with my southern drawl. You're going to just have to deal with it. Let's see here. Is it going to work? There we go. So we tried 1775 coffee. Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy, laser focus, no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic, a frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble. Still wondering if it's actually worth it? Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. Grab your starter kit for the gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Thank you, Rumble.
Were we supposed to get a thing that came across the screen?
It pops up on my end.
That's automatic. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because the Westwood One thing had a thing that came across the screen with the QR code, but I don't think I saw one. I just want to make sure we did that right. That's all.
Yeah, we did. It'll pop up. It's right here.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, no, it came up late. Okay, on the delay. Okay, just want to make sure so that way we get credit for doing the ad, because otherwise they don't give us credit. All right, so we'll leave that there. We'll talk about Robert Redford tomorrow. Honestly, Ted, I didn't know he was still alive.
Oh no, he was. Yeah, he's kicking ass and still running the Sundance.
Up until today.
Yeah, he was running Sundance.
Who knew? Who knew? I thought he had passed already. Oh, all right. So that does it. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern on a Wednesday hump day. And then we're also taping our Robbie's No Holds Barred
racist extravaganza.
White Rager. White Rager. Because it's Rumble.
Get your wife out of the house.
Rumble only. So it's gonna be Robbie's thoughts on.
Be careful, Robbie. Remember, I have a cat of color.
I have a wife of color. It's all right. You've met her.
You've got kids with some color. So.
I do. Mm-hmm. I do. But seriously, my kids, when Charlie Kirk got shot, I mean, they came home in tears. It hurt them.
Well, because of who he was, or because they saw the violent imagery?
Both. And there's then all the celebration behind it. But we'll save that for tomorrow.
People are gross. All right.
Yeah, people are gross. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern time. John Kiriakou and I on Deprogram. Catch you later.
I thought that was yesterday.
And it's today too.
It's weekly.
Oh,
it's weekly.
Daily.
Show.
Yeah, that's why. Weekly or daily? I'm confused.
Daily. It's daily.
It was weekly.
What? Okay, what's it? Okay, yeah, daily.
Weekly is once a week.
Yeah. Robbie, your producer.
Listen. I'm stupid.
The most confusing is bi-monthly, because that can either be once every 2 months or twice a month, depending.
Twice a month?
It can be either one.
Bi-monthly?
Mm-hmm.
Twice a month, I think.
Or every other month. It's whichever.
That's dumb.
The English language is kind of dumb.
Very inconsistent and dumb. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.